Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannon's understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannon's. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Gasoline is proudly brought to you by Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, and the following sponsors. I'm Michael Curzon, producer, creator of Gasoline. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to Gasoline, viewers, and if you liked last week's episode at Eddie Ford's Car Museum, you're going to love this week's. Sit down and stay tuned.
Okay, this property's been in the family since 1903. It's around about 1,000 acres, and from about 1962 or 3, when we started messing with cars as hot rods, I had a lot of friends that were wrecking old cars at that time, and they were going to dump them in the take them out to the tip and dump them. I said, well, we'll find a spot over on the rocks out of sight of the roads where you can put them. And basically, most of these cars have been left here by various people, plus a few of my kids, a few of my own. And they're not near trees, which means that they're protected from, leaves get into them and rot them out. Generally, their panels are pretty good. The main problem is a little bit of water gets down on the floors and they get a bit of rust in the floors, but if you can keep the leaves off old cars, they last a lot better. But most of them in the future, you know, you never know as time goes on. They're mostly parts cars. I had the Crushers come round once, and when the Olympic Games were on in Peking in China, and they were paying $300 a car. But you could have crushed them all, but I thought, you know, if a person wants a door, a good door's worth $300, or a good fender or something, so the kids can sort it out long after I'm gone. Well, we look at this Chevy front end. This is a 59 Chev front end, and like the front fender would be worth $300 or $400 for someone that wants one, because it's not much good if you haven't got one. And this is one of the reasons. Like there's a 59 Chevy front doors. Well, they'd be worth $300 a piece if they're in good shape, which they are. And if you need one, you pay the money. The 1939 Plymouth Coupe Ute, built by T.J. Richards in South Australia. Plymouth only built them in a Plymouth for 1 year. This is 1939. They also built a Dodge version, and they built a coupe. Now the coupe had the same body, but had a great big long back come down. And they used the same body in the coupe on Dodges for 39 and for 1940. Flathead 6-cylinder, and not too many around. The wants re-wooding, but the body, the sheet metal's quite good. Probably see someone might do something with it one day. I don't own it, I'm just storing it, but very interesting vehicle. Okay, this is a 1959 Mercury Montclair. That's been in Australia since new. I found it in a wrecking yard in Melton. A fella there used to wreck American cars back in the 70s. It's a huge car, got enormous glass area. It's got the biggest front windscreen ever put in a car. The back window's bigger than the windscreen of most cars. It's a little bit rusty in the doors. I got another set of doors out of a picker parts in California. As I said, the car is huge. It's about a mid-price range car in the 50s for Mercury. Had a 383 cubic inch V8 engine, similar engine to what they used in Lincolns. It was built in Canada, Walkerville, where the plant was in Ontario. It looks like it was built, it's got a proper right-hand drive steering box, so it looks like it could have been built right-hand drive, even though the dashboard has been chopped up to make it right, but there don't seem to be any extra holes in the firewall. Okay, this one's a 1958 Oldsmobile Super 88, four-door hardtop. It was assembled in Belgium, apparently. It's got an Antwerp data plate in the engine bay, left-hand drive, metric speedo. Probably come into Australia, into Canberra as an embassy car. And it's a bit windy today. That's all I know about it. I picked it up for about $400 up at Wangaratta. There you go. Well, this is the interior. Very chromy. Once again, the big dish steering wheel with the horn buttons on the horn, which was done by Holden's, of course, with the EJs and the EHs. It's got a metric speedo, goes to 200. That, of course, is kilometres. But it'd fix up all right. The door trims are in good shape. Most of the seats are half decent. Not a 100-point restoration, but if you wanted an original type car, it could be done. This is they hid the fuel filter for some reason, and Chevys did it in '56. Oldsmobile did it in '58, just for the 1 year. It's hidden down there. Would have tricked the boys on the pumps back then when someone pumped your fuel for the first time.
Don't forget to check out the all-new Shannon's Club. Once you sign up, you can create your own profile, including things like your previous cars, your current cars, the history of those cars, modifications and photographs. You can also search for other members' vehicles, keep up to date with things like news and current events, videos, check out your local car clubs and jump on the forum to talk to other like-minded enthusiasts about your passion.
Okay, this is a 1960 Chrysler New Yorker station wagon. It's a 6-passenger. They only made 606 passengers and 609 passengers. It's been here in Australia pretty much since new. It was originally painted an aqua with a white. I can remember seeing it in Melbourne back in the early 70s out in the eastern suburbs. And eventually I think it went to Queensland and I purchased it up there and brought it back. It's in not bad condition, but still requires a bit of work. But due to its rarity, I think it would be worth doing something with. The engine was a big 413 cubic inch wedge, press button torque light. That about sums it up. Very radical because the fins virtually extend from the front fender through to the rear. This is Oldsmobile Toronado, front-wheel drive, America's first front-wheel drive car since the Accord of about 1940, 39. Built by Oldsmobile. This is a 1966 model. They had a big 425 cubic inch V8, turbo 400, driving the front wheels. Had a perfectly flat floor, and this one's been converted to right-hand drive when it was new. Came out of the Canberra area. I've had it for quite a few years. It's a very good car. It was driven down, and wouldn't take too much to put it back on the road. Now the grille was the most controversial part of the Edsel. The horse collar grille, or the toilet seat, or part of a female anatomy it was related to. And if the grille had just gone straight across like any other car, then they might have sold for a bit longer. But anyway, that was their downfall generally. Another car is this 1934 Cadillac Fleetwood sedan. It was bought new and operated out of Bendigo for many years, right-hand drive, big V8 engine, and it's been out in the weather, but the body is that good. There's no rust out in it, and it's a solid, still quite a solid car. It virtually had to be re-wooded, but very unusual, and there's about 3 or 4 in the country, and I think Mrs. Myers had one from the Meyer people for many years, and the Meyer company have restored it at the present moment. Similar car. Well, it was brought into Australia new. I think it had an owner in Melbourne, but it was owned by people in Bendigo for many years, and when the war was on through to the 50s, I think the last time it was on the road was probably around about 1960. Then it was just parked in the paddock, and unfortunately it did a fair amount of damage to the fabric and the woodwork. It had the little jump seats that went folded down between the back and the front. I've got all the parts to fix it. I put an ad in, there was an ad in American Cadillac magazine, a guy wrecking one in Nepal, north of India. So we got all the headlights and the gauges and all the little bits and pieces that are missing on this car, so if we ever decide to do anything with it, most of it's there. We've also got a V12 engine to put in it, which a Cadillac V12 engine, 34, which I think you should be able to fit in. They were optional in these models.
Modern Plating, for all your plating needs. With over 50 years experience in delivering quality to the automotive restoration industry, whether it be bumpers, die-cast pieces, polishing and repairs to aluminium or stainless steel mouldings, even ceramic coatings, Modern Plating has it covered. modernplating.com.au, located 4 to 6 King Street, Oakley, Victoria. Remember, Modern Plating, when quality matters.
We're the Gasolene Twins. Hope you're enjoying the show.
This one's a Pontiac 9-passenger wide track station wagon. It's a proper Pontiac out of America with the Pontiac engine, which is bigger than a Chevy. That's got a different dashboard to the Pontiac sold in Australia. Pontiac sold in Australia come out of Canada, were based around Chevrolets. This one's got the seat up the back for the extra 3 passengers. It was a very big car in its time. Came into Melbourne. I bought it out of the Age in Melbourne. Back about 79, and it was hidden out in a paddock covered up with black plastic. I reckon my wife said if I lived to 400 we should get around to building most of them, but I'd make more money being the fact I lived to 400, I think. Than... It's the same old story now. Sometimes it's just cheaper to buy something in America that you don't have to do anything to. Cars like this, they're all right for young people that have got more time than money, and they can do a lot of work themselves. This is a 1959 Oldsmobile 88 coupe. I got out of a wrecking yard in Shepherd in about 1974. The engine had blown up and he's going to make a steam engine out, put a steam engine in it. That never happened, so I got it, brought it home, put it in the shed. Nothing much has happened either, but it's quite a nice car. It's got straight panels and right-hand drive. Would have came into Australia new or pretty new back in '59, and got the same body shell as basically the top, and that is a Chevy. They bolt this section on a Chevy door just to give you the fin follow through.
Stay tuned for more Gasoline after the break.
It's all I seem to do when you're here is blame. And everything you've ever said to me abstain.
Hi guys, Mark here from Rocket. Today we're going to have a look at a couple of our most popular combinations for small block Ford and small block Chev. We've got AFR 227 Chevy heads and 225 Renegade heads to suit small block Ford. Windsor 302, 347, 351 and stroke the combinations up to 427, and same with the small block Chevys. These are our most popular combinations. We've got 2 different manifolds here today. We've got a Edelbrock Super Victor, which is your street performance, upper sort of mid-range to upper horsepower level, and you've got your Performer RPM intake manifold here, so which is your bottom end, mid-range. A lot of people overlook the old dual plane manifold, but these manifolds will make more power in usable street ranges than this single plane. So for example, a 427 small block Chev or small block Ford with a 240 at 50 or so hydraulic roller camshaft and a Performer RPM manifold, 750 street HP, that'll make a solid 500 plus horsepower in street configuration. If you go with a single plane, solid roller or street roller, flat tap mechanical camshaft, then you'd be looking at upwards of close to 600 horsepower. So the Performer up here is definitely a good combination for street performance, and for your street race performance, the single plane's the way to go. Now all these heads fit standard production Chev and Ford blocks, as well as your aftermarket blocks, Dart and others. They're definitely our most popular combinations for small block Chev and small block Ford. We also carry the same combinations for big block Chevy. We've got some Cleveland heads as well, and a good combination of manifolds for Cleveland and Holden as well. These heads are aluminium construction. You know, in today's modern markets, aluminium heads can be produced pretty well on par with cast iron heads. We don't get a lot of call these days for cast iron heads. The advantage of aluminium heads: lightweight straight away. You're losing weight off the front of your car, easier, better handling, better on your front suspension. Aluminium dissipates heat faster than cast iron. Definitely a better combination. So you can run more compression, more power with the same cooling system, because the head will dissipate more heat. And the aluminium is easier to repair if you have a mishap. So weld it up and go and start from scratch. As you can see, these cylinder heads are CNC ported from AFR. That's how they come ready to go. They offer a couple of different versions: a competition port and a street port. So basically these heads are bolt straight on. Good quality valve train components. Not much else needs to be done. Some guys like to hand finish the heads. It's more your top level performance. For your street performance guys, these heads are ready to go out of the box. CNC ported combustion chambers, stainless valves, CNC ported exhaust ports as well. And as I said before, good quality valve train components, 7/16 screw-in studs on all the top level heads.
To download your free copy of the Rocket and Aeroflow Performance Parts catalogue, go to the sponsor section on the Gasolene website. Click on the links and download away. With over 650 combined pages of performance parts and accessories, you're sure to find everything you need for your car.
We'll see you next week on Gasolene.
Gasolene is proudly brought to you by Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, and the following sponsors. I'm Michael Curzon, producer, creator of Gasolene. Hope you enjoy.